And interestingly enough, you actually increase your chances of getting screwed because
Yeah,
any
right,
software developer worth their
right.
salt is going to look at this and be like, no, I'm not going to do this. Do you know who's going to pick up a software project like this? Somebody who has no business picking up a software project like this.
Yep.
So interestingly enough, by like, you make a really good point there of like, I don't really know what I need, so I'm going to try to cover all my bases. Interestingly, by doing that, you're going to run away, you're going to scare away the very people who could actually help in a professional setting with a project like this. If you were to be less prescriptive and you were to allow them to tell you, like, pull those answers out of them, those are things that you should ask us and ask us why we're making that recommendation. So instead of saying, hey, you need
Right.
to use the MERN stack or the mean stack, come to us and say, hey, I understand that your technology stack can kind of influence the project a little bit. Tell me a little bit about that. Tell me what recommendations you would make and why you would make them. Because here's the deal, if we don't
Exactly.
know what we're talking about, you're going to be able to sniff it out pretty well. If we're confident about what we're talking about, if we understand some of the nuance, you're going to pick that up while we're talking.
Yeah.
But if we don't know what we're talking about and we're kind of like, well, that lets you know, okay, these guys can't help me because they don't have the level of technical expertise required. So, interestingly enough, backing off the gas, pulling out a lot of these requirements, let them tell you what they recommend and why, is actually a lot more likely to get very put together software agencies who can actually answer these questions and execute these projects for you.
Oh, that's a perfect summation. So yeah, essentially come to conversations if you're a non-technical founder, which if you're listening to this podcast, I imagine you are. If you are coming to a conversation where you need a project done or you're trying to launch something, come to the conversation, inquiry, or conversation with the software developer with humility, like know what you don't know and be inquisitive, meaning ask questions about it, right? Because if they are worth their weight in salt, then they should be able to guide you through in a way that makes sense to you what why they're choosing the things that they're choosing and if it's appropriate. Like we talked about in the last episode, if they're talking about really big problems like 10 years from now, like scaling and an MVP, like that's not something you want to worry about. But if they're really talking about like how to make something that's lean, something that's effective for what you're trying to do, like that's really where what you want to listen for.